Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monday, March 16th West Fargo City Commission meeting. Would you please join the commission in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we start the meeting, I'd ask that everybody in the crowd please silence their cell phones with the exception of emergency personnel. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Jorgensen.
Present.
Commissioner Zundell.
Present.
Commissioner Dardis.
Here.
Commissioner Olson.
Here.
Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Let the record show all commissioners are present. Item D is to approve the order of the agenda. It has been distributed and in the packets.
Move we approve.
Commissioner Zundell moves to approve the order of the agenda as presented for March 16th, 2026. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next order of business is to approve the minutes of March 2nd, 2026. They have been distributed.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Olson moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Jorgensen seconds. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of March 2nd as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item F is building permits. Again, Commissioners, they have been distributed in your packets and before you.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Jorgensen moves to approve the building permits as presented. Is there any second?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next order of business is the consent agenda. We have items A through F.
No, there's more than that. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, A through K, excuse me.
Move we approve.
Commissioner Zundell moves to approve the consent agenda, items A through K. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda, items A through K. Is there any discussion?
Mayor.
Please.
For item E, project number 2300, when that gets brought back, when bids are, when you're asking for bids to be accepted and move forward with the project, can we get a short presentation and the cost analysis on prior public works mill and overlay projects, please?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Absolutely, we can work on that.
Okay, thank you.
I absolutely agree with Commissioner Anderson on this. And in that analysis, the city needs to make sure that we have a standard procedure on how we apply cost with regard to depreciation, all of those types of things, how you estimate overtime hours, at what rate, what the equipment rates are, and all of that type of thing.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, well, I will work with Public Works and Engineering, and we'll have something prepared.
Thank you. Again, we have a motion on the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We move into the regular agenda. The first order of business on the regular agenda is public comment. Madam Secretary, has anybody signed up for public comment?
I do not have anyone.
We have no public comment this evening, so public comment is closed. We move on to item number 2, which is public hearings, in which the public can address any item that's on this evening's agenda. None of the agenda items require a public hearing this evening, so thus, public hearings is also closed. We move on to item number 3. Item number 3 is the Gate City Bank Neighborhood Revitalization Program. We're going to call on Aaron Nelson, our Director of Planning and Zoning, for a presentation. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, President Dardis and Commissioners. So item 3 is this year's annual renewal of the city's neighborhood revitalization program with Gate City Bank. This program provides low-interest home improvement loans for qualifying homes within West Fargo. And the city has been partnering with Gate City Bank since 2019 on this program. The recommended action tonight is to reapprove the program for 2026 by directing staff to continue to partner with Gate City Bank to promote and administer this program. Prior to taking action, however, we do have a couple of folks from Gate City Bank who would like to address the commission, if that's all right. Otherwise, I'm certainly here for any questions after the fact.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, thank you for having us. My name is Brandy Olson and I serve as a retail manager at Gate. Help if I press the button, right? So, good evening, thank you for having us. My name is Brandy Olson and I serve as a retail manager at Gate City Bank. At Gate City Bank, our core purpose is to create a better way of life for our customers, communities, and team members. We're incredibly thankful for our communities we call home, and we're proud to invest in them so they remain beautiful for years to come. Today, I'm excited to share how our neighborhood revitalization program will help create a better way of life for the residents of West Fargo. The Home Improvement Partnership does just that and is one of our similar programs we offer across our region and is designed to revitalize neighborhoods, helping homeowners make repairs and upgrades at below market interest rates. In 2026, we're happy to allocate $2 million for this initiative, which will encourage the preservation of our wonderful homes and add long-term value of properties and neighborhoods. Qualifying projects will range from patio additions and new garages to safety repairs like furnace replacements and accessibility adjustments. Funds may also be used to address code and structural corrections, energy improvements, general property upgrades. So we've been supporting our community since our surrounding communities since 2003, contributing over $127 million to date. In 2026 alone, we have allocated $23 million for communities across North Dakota and West Central Minnesota. So we're super excited to continue this partnership with the city of West Fargo and continuing to revitalize our neighborhoods for years to come. So open for questions if you have any.
Gate City. As a great community partner for the city of West Fargo, we thank you for making these funds available, $2 million, and at a lower interest rate to help those individuals that have a assessed value of their home of less than $300,000. So it's a great program. We're grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Any other questions, commissioners, of the Gate City folks? All right.
Great program.
Any questions for Aaron? Okay.
I move we approve.
Commissioner Zundell moves to approve the Neighborhood Revitalization Program with Gate City Bank as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Jorgensen seconds. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Be sure and pass on our thanks to the administrative team at Gate City, Kevin Hansen, who is a president of Gate City and a resident of West Fargo.
We will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next order of business is item number 4, project number 2293, 9th Street Northeast, grade separation. We call on Dan Hansen, the Senior Director of Community and Development. The order of this discussion is to approve plans and specifications, direct an advertisement for bids, and approve a task order number 9-3. Mr. Hansen, good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Commissioner President Dardis and Commissioners. Our city engineer, Jerry Wallace, is serving in the military and will be gone until the beginning of April. So after thinking he could flex his muscles by bringing only 8 items to last month's, to the March 2nd commission meeting, I needed to come back up here and stress my authority over him for that respect. So anyways, I will try to be respectful of time and get through this. For this project here, 2293, this is the 9th Street Northeast grade separation. If you recall, this is the bridge that we received the RAISE grant for and subsequently Prairie grant funds to construct a bridge over the BNSF Railroad. And the plans, we do have the agreement finalized with the FHWA, and with that, we were able to have our consultant complete the plans and specifications, and they're not all included in the packet because the packet would be huge, so there's a portion of it, but they're available if anybody would care to take a look. So anyways, we're looking to direct advertisement for bids for that project. That would bid out in early April as well, and so that's exciting news to move forward with that. And then along with that, our consultant Houston Engineering, we have a task order 9-3 in the packet that basically has a lot of their work for the construction administration of the project and everything. So all the costs that are included in what's shown in the increased fees of the task order have been included in previous cost analysis for the project. So this was expected, and with that, I would answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Hanson?
Move we approve the plans and specs and go out for advertisements and approve the task order 9-3.
I have a motion. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. We have, Commissioner Olson moves, Commissioner Anderson seconds. For project number 2293, to approve the plans and specifications and direct an advertisement for bids and approve a task order number 9-3. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are now on item number 5. Item number 5 is the 2026 concrete pavement repairs. Again, we call on Dan Hanson, our Senior Director of Community and Development. The purpose of this discussion is to create project number 2299 and direct the engineer to prepare an engineer's report. Mr. Hanson.
Yep, thank you, Commissioner Dardis and Commissioners. This is a standard project that we move forward with each year, where the engineering staff works with Public Works to identify concrete paneled roadways that are cracked up and faulting, which can potentially ruin snowplow blades and things of that nature. So those areas have been identified, and so we're looking to move forward with this year's 2026 concrete pavement repair project. Each year in the capital improvement plan, we do budget $1 million for both the concrete pavement repairs as well as another $250,000 for the replacement of pedestrian ramps. We do have mostly the concrete pavement repairs in this, but we do have some pedestrian ramps as well. So anyways, what we're just looking to do tonight is just to create the project, direct engineer to prepare the engineer's report that will be brought forth back in front of the commission again for approval to move forward with the design of the project. With that, I'll entertain questions.
Questions for Mr. Hanson?
A motion to approve.
Commissioner Jorgensen moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Zundell seconds. We have a motion and a second to approve the 2026 concrete pavement repair plan and create a project number 2299. Direct the engineer to prepare an engineer's report. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are on now item number 6. Item number 6 is the 32nd Avenue and 5th Street West pedestrian improvements. Call again on Dan Hanson, the Senior Director of Community and Development. Purpose of this discussion is to create project number 2304 and direct the engineer to prepare an engineer's report. Mr. Hanson.
Thank you, Commissioner President, Artists and Commissioners. This is a project that was originally brought to our attention by the West Fargo Police Department that requested the engineering department look at providing some pedestrian improvements on 32nd Avenue in the area of the lights. Right now, when we have events at the lights, there is a tremendous amount of people that cross over 32nd Avenue in the location of 5th Street. I'll jump down into the report here. This is showing more or less what the improvements would look like. Basically, if you, in the consultant's report that's attached, they took a look at one of the events that was occurring at the lights, and there was about 1,000 people that actually crossed over that roadway during that day. with the peak happening, obviously, after the event had completed, I'm assuming, to go and visit some of the establishments on the south side of 32nd Avenue. This has been noticed to be not a safe situation for that amount of people to be crossing without any form of pedestrian crossings at that intersection of 5th and 32nd. So what we're proposing to do and what the engineer's report that is, or not engineer's report, but the study that was done by the consultant supports is there is an eastbound left turn lane that goes to the north that would be filled in and create a median, basically a refuge for pedestrians crossing that intersection. It looked at 3 different options, making 5th Street a right-in, right-out from both sides. It also took a look at potentially moving that pedestrian crossing on the east side of the intersection of 5th and 32nd, and also this location here on the west side of 5th and 32nd. This is the preferred and recommended safety improvements to be implemented with this project. And the reason it wasn't chose to be on the east side of it is to give pedestrians more distance between the Cheyenne intersection and the crossing. So that way, anybody that's turning westbound from Cheyenne, they would be exiting onto 5th before they hit that crosswalk. So some of those vehicles would be exiting 32nd Avenue. And then also, again, to give the crosswalk a little bit more room between the Cheyenne Street and that crossing to give motorists more time to react to pedestrians in that crossing. They did take a look at 3 different types of improvements. One would be a signal, found that a signal is not warranted. They also looked at, for layman's terms, it's called a hawk system, where you see it's a pedestrian crossing and it looks like a full-blown signal with red lights that you can see it on 8th Avenue near Concordia, for example, over in Moorhead, that type of a signal system. Again, that system also needs warrants through the federal standards, and those were also not met for that. So neither of those type of improvements were an option for us. But the rapid reflecting flashing beacons, the RRFBs, that is a fairly standard thing that's in use around here that drivers are normally used to seeing. It does, it's a push button that basically lights up and oscillates between sides, and it is a very good indicator to traffic that there are pedestrians located in the intersection that it's coming up to crossing. So that is the recommendation for this. And there is a couple different things in that study that I wanted to point out is, number one is by by closing off this access for the northbound traffic here, and they're saying that there is potential that there is going to be additional traffic, obviously, that would be turning northbound on 6th Street before, if somebody's coming eastbound and going to the lights, they would be turning north on 6th Street. In that, I can jump down into the, you can see right now there's, where I'm circling right now, there's 31 people, or 31 cars, vehicles that turn northbound. So, and that is for the AM peak hour. The PM peak hour is even less than that. And you can see right now, turning northbound on 6th is roughly about, if I can read that, five or six cars. So those cars that are, those 31 cars turning northbound over the course of a day, that would be turning northbound on that left turn. They can't anymore. So they would be turning north on 6th. 6th does not actually extend as a city street, so those 28 vehicles that would be turning northbound on 6th would basically get to the lights through that parking lot. That's not ideal, and it's not public right-of-way. One of the things that was discussed in the report is that 6th Street eventually had a plan to go to the north and then eventually curve to the east and connect with 5th. If you take a look at an aerial photograph, there's actually streetlights that are out in that green space in preparation someday for that roadway to go in. So it did recommend in this report that if we do these improvements here, that we might want to take a look at potentially extending Sixth Street over to make that connection over to Fifth. It says in conjunction with this project, it could also just be done as a separate project to be looked at some point. But again, we're talking about 31 vehicles, so it is not a tremendous amount of vehicles. And also, you could make the argument that some of those vehicles were actually going to the hockey place that might be just taking the Fifth Street northbound left turn. So some of those would be going through that parking lot anyways, if that was their destination. There's no way to tell for that, but it is not a tremendous amount of vehicles. But given the fact that we have 1,000 people after an event crossing Fifth Street, and it was noticed in the video by our consultant when they were looking at it and putting together the study, they did notice that there were a lot of vehicle and pedestrian interaction. Luckily, there wasn't any vehicle pedestrian accidents that they reported having seen. So people were able to navigate, but it's only a matter of time without doing something here. And given that the PD asked us to take a look at this and see if we can't make some improvements, this was the solution that is supported, basically because there are no warrants for any form of signalization of those intersections. So we would be looking to create this project and then direct the engineer to prepare an engineer's report that would be brought back in front of the commission for approval to move forward with design. And the other thing that I would like to mention with this is we did apply for some funding. That funding was, let me scroll back up to the agenda here. On January 5th, we had approved staff to apply for the grant funding to help with the construction of this project. And we were successful in being awarded carbon reduction program funding in the amount of $184,448. The engineered estimate for the actual construction, not including soft costs, but just the construction side of this project is $230,560. So we were able to attain basically about $184,000 of that $230,000 to be applied towards the construction of this project. So very well funded with that grant program that we thank MetroCog for helping us facilitate. And with that, I would entertain any questions.
Commissioner Olson?
Thank you. Dan, do we have a backup plan in case the school or whoever is managing that parking lot puts up a no through traffic sign there or on the north side?
The answer would be to extend Sixth over to Fifth.
Okay.
That would be the only, because say we were to do this improvement and they were to say no through traffic, we would need to work with them on getting Sixth Street. But
With regard to Commissioner Olson's, could you put the map back up so we can
absolutely.
make sure that we understand where the public understands where the school property is? I think all the commissioners are
There we go.
familiar with it, but
So this is the school, the sports arena. Fifth Street is right here where we're looking to put the improvements for the walkway is right here. Sixth Street is located right here, and you can see the street goes north, not through public right-of-way. It is just, it does end there. But you can see around the north side of the parking lot, there is green space right there. And as I stated earlier, I believe there's actually lighting in place for that future roadway. But this is where we would look to eventually extend this street north, Sixth Street north, curve to the east, and then connect with Fifth Street right there. It should also be noted that there is a signalized intersection that's just north of this aerial photo that people are able to access the lights area off of Cheyenne through that signalized area. That's not shown on this photograph. But
Commissioner Zundell?
So I think one thing I don't like about this traffic study, I love the intent, I like that we're looking for solutions, but am I correct in assuming that they did this, I think I saw on July 31st or something like that is when they collected the data?
they did collect the data last year.
So it
We-
looked like 24 hours of turning movement data was collected on Thursday, July 31st.
Yeah, and they picked that date because that was the day of a concert.
So that date is not in hockey season. And where you're going to have a ton of traffic in and out of this is going to be hockey, like our parking lot at Vets Arena is packed all the time. I mean, 31 is going to be the parents dropping off kids for morning practice, and then they're going to come back in potentially to pick them up. I think eliminating a left turn into the sports arena at that location is going to be very, very problematic on all of the other days of the year.
Sure.
Specifically for what I would presume to be arena operations. My other question would be, have we talked to the businesses in the lights? Because I think even people going to the bank, I think that's a very natural way to get into how you would go into the bank teller line. I think preventing a left turn or just cutting off traffic from there in general might create some problems. So I guess, in summary, I think if we're going to do this, we really should reevaluate traffic when hockey is in season. And I would honestly recommend today that there's a tournament there because they host tournaments. There's 2 sheets of ice. There's people everywhere. My other thought would be, is there temporary traffic event management things that we can do? Can we do a crosswalk and then create some type of preventing a left turn when there are events of a certain threshold as a part of like their event permit or something like that?
You'd have to basically do that manually, obviously with like flaggers or something like that. If we were to do something like that, you wouldn't be able to put the RRFBs out there for that if we're not creating the crosswalk there. A couple different things on our previous comments is that people coming in and out of there, people leaving the lights right now are not allowed to take a left-hand turn to head east towards Cheyenne because that is just too, it's a 3/4 access intersection right now. So everybody that's leaving the lights currently must be going through, if they want to get out to Cheyenne, they're either heading north to that signalized intersection or already going through that parking lot. So there would be some of that. The other thing is, as far as most people dropping off, kids that are going to be playing hockey there, the majority of the traffic would be coming from Cheyenne. People that are coming from the rest of the community, they'd be going westbound and they'd be able to still get in there.
I don't think that's true because you have, like, for example, Horace High plays at that sports arena. So all of the traffic that any kid who plays from south, a lot of times they're going to be practicing here. So a lot of them, I think when you're coming in and out or you're cutting off traffic, depending on where they're coming from, if they're driving down 9th Street, taking a right on 32nd Avenue to loop into there, I suppose they could loop in on 6th and then loop back out, but.
Well, if they're coming from the west, if we close for a hockey drop-off, so people that are going for a hockey tournament or something like that are coming from the west, they would still be turning northbound on 6th to get to that spot. I don't know how many are going past 6th to get to 5th to turn north and then go back into the parking lot. There obviously could be. It could be that people are driving in from the east side going up 5th so they could pull in, drop somebody off, and then head back to 6th to get out of there and be able to
Loop.
to take a left onto 32nd. We don't have that data. It is something that we could reinitiate another traffic count during a hockey tournament, and we could go back to the consultant and see if they would run the same analysis to get us traffic counts during a hockey tournament day, if that is something that is desired.
I just worry if we're going to be making any long-term decisions or we think we're creating problems potentially on 6th or anything like that. And I guess my other follow-up would be, like, have we talked to the school district about this or even West Fargo Events who manage the arena? Or like Bell Bank or basically any of these major stakeholders who are going to be affected by removing a left turn access into an area?
Yeah, there has not been conversations for that because we really haven't created the project. And this is basically creating the project, going out for the report, but I would expect for us to have the engineer's report. It is during that time frame after we've gotten buy-in from the commission that we want to even proceed with, or look at proceeding with the project, that we would reach out. If this doesn't look like something the commission would want to proceed with, there would be no need to talk to all of those people in that area. But moving forward, if we do proceed with an approval for tonight, we can definitely send out mailers, get phone numbers for people that we can reach out to, go over this, obviously talk to the school. We could talk to the West Fargo Hockey Association and other entities that would be using that building and maintaining the building to let them know of this. I do think that the recommendation from the report that we extend 6th is a very good project that we should proceed with. I do think that it is this is an economic development type of a project because it's direct access to the lights in a place where a lot of people are coming to play hockey, and so that is definitely bringing commerce to the town. So I would think that the 6th to 5th connection would be something that we would be able to look at with utilizing economic development sales tax dollars to do that project. So that would be the route that I would eventually assume that we would be coming back with on how to pay for that. And if this is something that we want to move forward with tonight, that would really trigger us to also not only have conversations with them about what's going to happen with this access, but we would also start talking to them because if we're going to be extending 6th, that's also crossing private property as well. I know that when there was some development discussions of what might happen to the site before, they were actually talking about building buildings across 6th. So that would, if we were to dedicate that as right-of-way and extend that roadway, obviously, then there would not be an avenue that we could extend 6th. So we would really want to have there would be a longer discussion on the ultimate development of that area as to whether we could extend 6th, and if not, we would look at see what is the appetite for these proposed improvements from the perspective of the school district and the Fargo Parks and the Hockey Association and people that utilize that facility. Long answer to a short question. So.
That was a couple of questions, so you could get a long answer.
I couldn't agree more with Commissioner Zundell with regard to having a conversation with West Fargo Events, who manages the hockey arena for the school district. And, you know, the long-term plan, even the discussion you're having about extending 5th, and you're Dan, you're talking about economics development, sales tax money, but, you know, that is school district land. And, you know, that is an interesting possible potential, we set a precedent that we're not going to assess the school district for any of these improvements. And I think that Commissioner Zundell's point about Bell Bank and some of the other businesses that are at the lights, that should be made aware before we create this, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Scott, did you have something that you wanted to interject?
Thank you, Commissioner President Dardis. Yeah, just real quick, the extension of 6th through the school's property there, that is encompassed in an easement. That roadway was meant to be extended at some point in the future. So I did want to clarify that. It is within a platted easement.
It is a plotted easement, but what about assessments?
Yeah, and you raise a very good point there. So there hasn't been any recent discussion as to how we would fund that project, and yep, a lot of the coordination that's been talked about here is certainly going to have to take place before we get to that particular option. But I did want to just clarify that it is within a platted easement and was intended to be extended at some point in the future.
Great point, thank you. But the point being, if we're going to make these changes, everyone that's involved in this should have some discussion about it, should be included. Commissioner Olson.
The point is, we're looking at safety for the pedestrians crossing 32nd because there probably isn't ample parking north of 32nd, and they cross it to get over to the parking that's available on the south. So how long do we want to wait before something happens there? Somebody's crossing the street without any protection at all. So I think it's a good idea. It's just, and until we get feedback from the businesses around there, I think we should approve it and then find out, and then we can always squash this later. This isn't a done deal at this point, right, Mr.?
Correct. All this does is it basically just creates the project, which staff moves forward with the engineer's report. Part of the engineer's report would have to be, in this case, public outreach. And then if I could get back to the assessment discussion, just the reason I had brought up the economic development is that currently everybody that is wanting to access that area, whether it is the sports arena or the lights, has that turning lane ability right now. By us taking away that turning lane, we're creating a situation where we are directing public traffic over a private parking lot. And that's where I was saying that if we were to use economic development funds to do that, we would be basically restoring the access that we're taking away right now from them. Obviously, any new roadway is an improvement. We could look if there is potentially any assessments to the area. But as far as the city's portion of how we would pay for that, I would, at that point in time, recommend whatever the city's portion of it, whether it be 30, 70, or 100%, we would take a look and see if economic development sales tax dollars fits that situation.
Commissioner Lindell, you had another point?
I think it's, again, a great, anytime we can enhance safety for pedestrians, I think that's a great opportunity. My concern is, I think it's way cheaper, again, through a special event permitting process, to mandate the people that are holding the event, that are making money off of the event, to provide traffic control management, whether that be flaggers, whether it be people they designate. Like, I think there are cheaper ways in the interim to approach this if we've identified that there is a safety problem than doing a roadway improvement project. I'm not saying the roadway improvement project is a bad idea. I just feel like, okay, if we talk about an engineer's report, rough estimate, what does an engineer's report cost to do something like that for this project?
It would be done by
Internal staff, so like how many staff hours?
With the amount of conversations that we're going to need to have, I wouldn't say it would be less than 80 hours probably to put it together. And then again, going back to the cost of the improvements here, the local cost of the construction would be the $46,000 for it, not the full $230,000 because of the grant that we had received.
Well, my position on this is going to be that of Commissioner Olson's. And that's, let's create the project. Let's have the dialogue with the school district, with West Fargo Events and the businesses there. And being it's internal as we move forward this evening, I find that acceptable. But there has to be conversations, and all those entities need to be brought into the conversation.
Absolutely.
I move we approve.
Commissioner Olson moves to approve and create project number 2304. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. We have a motion and a second. This is at 32nd Avenue and 5th Street West, pedestrian improvements. Is there any discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Hanson. We move on to item number 7, which is an improvement district number 3006, Westwood Addition Reconstruction. Again, we call on Mr. Hanson, our Senior Director of Community and Development, and approve a task order number 64-7 with Moore Engineering. Mr. Hanson.
Thank you, Commissioner President and Commissioners. This is obviously the Westwood Addition reconstruction that occurred in 2025. It was very successful, and it was a great project for that neighborhood. Celine Brothers should be commended for the work that they did as a prime on that project. Just as a shout out to Celine, they had the people of the neighborhood actually making supper for them. And we've received a lot of positive feedback for the contractor on that project, so. But what we're here for tonight is that there was some change conditions that were found out in the field. Last year, there was some unsuitable soils that caused the project to be delayed, where Celine Brothers had to basically export a lot of material and bring in a different material. And then also, if you recall, we had a very wet fall that delayed a lot of construction and just made the project go longer than necessary. And then outside of that, there was also identified as there was when the sidewalks go over driveways, it's called the sidewalk crossing plate in those driveways. The contractor that poured the driveways, the sidewalk crossing plate, and the aprons down to the roadway, they were pouring portions of it in one pour where they were, like, for example, part of the driveway was poured, and then they would also pour that sidewalk crossing plate through the driveway at the same time. It was discovered, and it's tough to see just when everything is dry and being poured that anything was amiss. But after some rain events, there was some standing water that was noticed on the sidewalks. So our consultant, Moore Engineering, went out and basically took a straight edge and a smart level to all of those crossing plates, and they identified a number of sidewalk crossing plates in newly poured driveways that there was a little dip that was formed in that sidewalk crossing plate where water can stand. And for example, outside today, the freeze-thaw conditions, it would leave some ice on the travelable surface of that sidewalk, which isn't acceptable. It's also not acceptable per ADA standards. So all of those areas were fine-tooth combed and identified as defective work that needs to be reconstructed this year. There was letters sent out to the neighborhood identifying driveways and letting people know that, hey, we had a great project last year. Unfortunately, there's going to be a little bit more work that needs to be done in some driveways for warranty work from the contractor. There is no payment for this redo of this work. This is something that was identified as defective. So the contractor is going to need to go out and fix those crossing plates and those sidewalks. So residents were notified that there's probably going to be about a 2-week period between taking it out, forming it up, pouring it, and letting the concrete cure, where they're not going to be able to access those driveways. The contractor is going to work with the homeowners to make sure that they're able to access their properties, but at least the street is done, so you'll be able to still park right out front of the property out on the street and everything. But obviously, we're going to need more engineering to be out there and doing the construction administration for those corrections, as well as some of the final closeout items that need to just be closed out to finish up the work from last year. So with that, there's a task order number 64-7 in the commission packet. This pays for a number of different things. One being the extra work that was done last year as the project went further into the season than anticipated originally, as well as anticipated hourly costs for construction administration of the upcoming work yet this year. The task order is in the amount of $235,000. Overall, for the financial analysis, when we opened up bids, we did present that the total cost of the project was estimated to be $8,350,000. We are still, even with this task order and the change orders that were issued during the project, still planning on approximately $8,215,000 as an anticipated final dollar amount for the project. So we are still about $135,000 less than what was anticipated with the bids, plus some construction contingencies in that. And so, and then not only that, we did get a low-interest loan from the state to help keep the costs down from that perspective, as well as we were able to obtain some, from the DEQ, there was some grant money for the replacement of the water main within the neighborhood. So not the full amount of this project is what is total cost to the city or assessed. After we take those grant dollars out, then the assessments would be based off of that remainder value. And the city is paying 70% of all costs towards the project after the grant dollars have been applied. And then the assessed portion of this is 30%. So with that, we're looking for approval of Task Order 64-7, and I would field any questions.
Commissioner Anderson?
I have a couple questions. Are we pursuing any options for, or are the residents going to be on the hook for the replacement concrete costs? And then are they also going to be on the hook for some of this additional money that we're paying more to handle those issues?
Yes, two-part question, two-part answer. There is no cost to the project or the city for the construction or the replacement of these driveways as it's defective. We have withheld payment on those driveways in excess of the amount of what they cost, and so they will get reconstructed, and the cost of that construction will not be part of the project. As far as what the additional engineering fees are for overseeing the construction side of that, Moore Engineering does keep track of that separately, so when they move into the construction season this year, they will be taking into account what they're doing as defective work construction administration, so they're going to keep track of that. Again, we have withheld dollars from the contractor in excess of the amount of what it's going to take to do this, and we do have liquidated damages that are part of the project that we can take a look at. That is basically an assessment against the cost of the project that can be withheld. Those are done through pay requests. When the pay request comes through for the work, eventually what's going to happen, we'll get a pay request to finally pay for the driveways once they're acceptable. It's in that pay request, we take a look and see what additional costs did they go over. And at that point in time, the city will have the right to withhold liquidated damages from the contractor and the purpose for the liquidated damages is to basically pay the engineer for doing the construction inspection during that time. So we would not need to put that towards any of the costs to the residents or assessments.
Short answer is no, they won't be assessed for this additional work.
That's another way to put it.
Okay, thank you.
And it'd be the deduction for the Moore's supervising these improvements with dollar for dollar. I mean, every dollar that Moore Engineering spends on this project will be deducted from the contractor's final payment.
We're allowed to withhold the liquidated damages amount that was part of the contract. We do not take a look at an invoice and say, this is the dollar amount that it is. Basically, when the liquidated damages amount that was calculated to be withheld in the event that we need to, it was calculated based off of an X amount of hours per day over this amount of time, as well as some other factors such as project administration, because we all know that there's the inspector out in the field, but there's also the engineer in the office that's corresponding, keeping track of things. And so all of those costs were estimated when we were putting together the amount of the liquidated damages in the contract. So I can't say that it's going to be dollar for dollar, but what I can say is the amount of the liquidated damages that was calculated is a reasonable amount that we would expect it would take in a day, so it'll be very close.
Any other questions for Mr. Hanson on this project?
I move we approve.
Mr. Zendel moves to approve District Number 3006 and its Task Order 64-7 with Moore Engineering. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We move on to item number 8. Item number 8 is the Improvement District 3008, Meadow Ridge Development Reconstruction Phase 1. The purpose of this discussion is to accept a bid and award a contract contingent upon the NDDEQ, help me with that, what's that? North Dakota Environmental
Yeah, North Dakota Department of Environmental Quality.
and an environmental review approval. Mr. Hanson.
Thank you, Commissioner Dardis and Commissioners. We did move forward with the bidding of this project that was authorized at the February 2nd Commission meeting. We did receive 4 bids ranging from $3,245,039.90 to $5,294,615, with Dakota Underground being the low bidder in the amount of $3,245,039.90. That was 12.23% less than the opinion of probable costs in the engineer's report. That was approved back in November of 2025, so they were good bids. This project obviously is very needed. It was one of the highest ranked projects identified in the core area study. We did receive very good bids from Dakota Underground, who is a contractor we've worked with on numerous projects that it has the ability to come in and get that project completed. One thing that we're also moving forward with is we had approved moving forward with applying for grant funding for the water main replacement. That would effectively give us a 60% grant funds towards the replacement of the water main. Nothing in here in the packet actually reflects that, because later this week we actually have there's a meeting with the state on and getting those dollars. So I would expect it is a funded program and that we're going to get those. So eventually those dollars, if we're successful, which I believe we will be, those will come off the total dollars for the project. And with that, I would request that we accept these bids and award the contract contingent upon the NDDEQ environmental review approval. And that is necessary wording in here because we are not allowed to approve it until they have went through that approval. We're expecting that very soon, but haven't received it yet. So when we accept the bids and award the contract tonight, it won't officially be awarded until we get word back from the state that they've approved it. So with that, I would entertain questions.
Commissioner Olson?
Thank you. The low bid is 3.2 million and change, but under your financial analysis, you list that the amended engineer's report estimate, the total cost is 6.1. Where's the difference? How we come up with almost an extra $3 million? Where does that come in?
So
This bid just for certain parts of the project?
this is just for the construction of the project. That doesn't include any of the soft costs that would be involved in. Actually, I believe, not having the numbers in front of me, I believe that, no, I don't believe it was in this. Well, yeah, it was. There's an engineer's statement of cost down as we move forward here. So you can take a look on this sheet here that the construction came in at the $3,245,000. There is, because it is a reconstruct area, there's a lot more in the ground that we might find than a barren field, obviously. So there's 15% contingency. So that adds $500,000, getting us to about $3.75 million. After that, you can see the soft costs, getting us to, with the bid, an estimated $5.1 million total cost for the project. And that's prior to us, again, applying for and receiving grant funds for it. In the end, after those grant funds are reducing the total project costs, the city is, we're paying for 70% of the cost of the project and assessing 30% per the 2022 CIP recommendations.
But the total cost you list there is 5.1 million, which is still $1 million less than what you're, so that's why I'm just questioning this.
So the amended engineer's report was not the final, let me go back actually here.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay.
Just,
Mr. Scott, do you have something to add?
Well, maybe more of a question for Dan. Is the amended engineer's report, that was prepared some time ago, whereas this is the engineer's statement of estimated cost. The two documents are different in that the statement of cost is prepared after bids are received.
Yeah.
Whereas the amended engineer's report was prepared prior to bidding.
okay.
I don't know exactly when that occurred, but
Yeah, I was going to say that the problem is that this says under the financial analysis, it says the amended engineer's report estimates a project total cost of $6.18 million. Earlier in the first paragraph, it says 0.23% less than the opinion probable cost also in the engineer's report. Those two things, generally speaking, cannot be true. There's a,
I did the math in my head, it's not true.
no, it is not true. So Jerry had put this together before he left. I had reviewed it. I apologize, I did not catch that. But I think that there is an opinion of probable cost in the engineer's report. I believe what that first paragraph, what that should have stated was not in the engineer's report. I believe that would have been the final bidding engineer's estimate from when we went out, when we approved it to go out to bids, is what I'm guessing. I can look into that and report back on that if you'd like, but I'm assuming that it's 12.23% less than what the engineer's estimate was after the design was done and when we went to bidding. The engineer's report would have been before we even started design on the project. So that's where I believe that the first paragraph should have stated that it is 12.23% less than what was the final bidding engineer's estimate. That's typically what we would see in that paragraph.
So when is this actually slated to get rolling? If, let's say if we approved it tonight, when would it be done? I know we have to wait for that EQ review to be done.
What I can say is that Dakota's already submitted everything that they need to submit to have pre-cons, and we need to move forward with this to get things rolling as far as the construction schedule for this goes. The other portion of this is that with the grant money that we are going for the, not only for the water main, but we're also looking to go out to get low-interest loans for the Meadow Ridge development, so that we can take advantage of that 2% state loans. Moving forward tonight is critical for that time period as well.
So by delaying it to the next meeting, would that cause?
I think that actually would cause a little bit of problem, but what I can say is that the bids that we got are from a very qualified contractor, and they're very good. So I think it would be better for me to just verify what should have been stated there than for us to not award it, given the design was good, the bid was good, and we would want to move forward with the project as fast as we can, so that we're in the contractor can order the materials and we're ready to go, because usually it can be mid to late April when they can start construction of a project. The other thing is we want to schedule a neighborhood meeting, because we had an initial neighborhood meeting with all the folks in that area prior to bidding. When we were first setting up the project, we did promise them that we would have another neighborhood meeting after the bids come in. With this award, we would look to schedule that neighborhood meeting very soon, so that way they can be introduced to the contractor. We can answer a lot of questions on how am I going to access my house during construction and things like that. So I wouldn't recommend delaying it, given the fact that the pertinent parts are the amount of the bid and the qualified contractor that did it. And I will answer the question on if that should have been engineer's report, or if that should have been final engineer's bidding estimate, or what that would have been. But I believe that's more of a clerical error on the part of.
What you've got up on the screen is what we're basically going to go off of.
That is exactly what we're awarding and anticipating. Yep, correct.
Okay.
We're awarding $5,100,000.
We are awarding a bid to the contractor in the amount of $3,245,039.90 to Northern Improvement, which sets the stage for a project that would estimatedly cost $5.1 million.
And are we convinced that the $1 million discrepancy in the opening paragraph? Because how can you have neighborhood meetings with these people if there's a differential of, and they're going to be paying 30% of it, and we're talking about $1 million difference?
The numbers you see on your screen are the numbers that are correct and would be presented.
Okay?
And even if you go back down, you can see it's also broke down on the percentages for what part of the project construes the different dollar amounts, and then also what the city-funded portion is of that $5.1 million would be $3.57 million, and the 30% that would be special assessed is $1.53 million. that's what would be presented. Also with the carrot out there that future grant money for the water main would be reducing these numbers.
Okay.
But we're very certain that the dollar amount from that bid is correct. It is a good contractor to work with, and the numbers that you see in that engineer statement of cost post-bid, these are the numbers that are true and moving forward with. I suspect that the 6.18 million that is down in the financial analysis, I believe that that is true to what was in the engineer's report that was put together prior to the design of the project. So the $6.18 million is something that when we first initiated the project, we did a feasibility study that was, generally speaking, we try to be very conservative with our estimates of costs for that because we don't want to paint the rosiest picture and then come back with higher costs. So there is also, when that engineer's estimate was put together off of the feasibility study, projects hadn't been bid out this year. We've generally seen that there's been a lot of projects that have been coming in under what was paid last year, but standard practice is you take a look at what you paid last year and you say, well, there's going to be some inflation, so we probably should bump those dollars up 5%, where we're actually seeing them down sometimes 10, 15%. That creates a 15, 20% movement just in that. So the 6.18 million, I'm very confident in saying that that was put together pre-design and that was from the engineer's report. Where I think there's a discrepancy is in the first paragraph that probably should not have said the engineer's report. I believe that that should have been the final engineer's bidding estimate after the design was completed and we went out to bids. We expected the bids to come in at a dollar amount that would equal that 12.23%. And I think you'll hear back from me that says, a statement that says, yeah, that shouldn't have said engineer's report there, that should have said final engineer's bidding estimate, is my estimate.
So what you're asking for tonight is the approval of the $5,100,000?
We're asking to accept the bids that came in from Northern Improvement in the amount of $3,245,000.
Dakota Underground.
I'm sorry, Dakota Underground, in the amount of $3,245,039.90.
That's all you're asking for?
Yep, and to award the contract to the contractor for that.
Because I want those numbers very specifically in the motion. That if it's different than what the $3,245,039.90 is.
Yep.
You need to come back here.
100%.
Got it, okay?
So
Commissioners?
I would recommend a motion that accept the bid in the amount of $3,245,039.90 to Dakota Underground Company and award them the contract at that dollar amount contingent upon the NDDEQ environmental review approval.
Do we have a motion?
So
I'll make
moved.
that motion.
Commissioner Zundell makes that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Hanson.
Yep.
Item number 9, project number 6064, transit shelters. Mr. Hanson, Senior Director of Community and Development. Purpose of the discussion is to approve the engineer's report and direct the engineer to prepare plans and specifications. Mr. Hanson, you've
thank
been a busy boy tonight.
Yeah, thank you,
Welcome back.
Commissioner.
We're like being hard on him too tonight.
Well, these commission meetings were just going way too fast, so I came back. Thank you, Commissioner Dartis and Commissioners. This is the project where Matt Bus has 10 available shelters to give to the city of West Fargo. We were waiting to install these because we were taking a look, if you recall, at the end of last year, if we were going to move any of the routes to different locations. So now that study had been completed and we have finalized with Matt Bus the routes that are going to be serviced, we took a look and we determined the 5 locations that we're going to start with to place these 5 shelters. This was in front of you on March 2nd where we created the project, directed the engineer to prepare the report. That report has been completed, and so we are in the process of moving forward with plans and specifications. So in that engineer's report, you can see we're estimating a total cost of $40,000 for the construction of basically some pad sites where these shelters can be placed. And we would be doing this design obviously internally with our engineering staff and Public Works Department, I believe, to construct these areas. So we would be looking to approve this engineer's report and direct the engineer to prepare plans and specifications, so that way we can.
Could you put the map up again, please,
I sure can.
Mr. Hanson? And I know that Commissioner Jorgensen had some very good questions last commission meeting about placement of these.
There's no map.
There is
There's no map in there? All right. Commissioner Jorgensen, do you have some additional questions?
Go ahead and pull it up. But I do, so if we have 10 available and the routes are finalized, why are we not putting all 10 in?
That's an excellent question. The one thing is that we were looking at doing the 5 locations, which is where the most ridership is located, the biggest pickup areas are. And then because we're looking to do this with our staff, we're looking to do this amount, and then we can determine if we want to proceed, if there are other higher pickup areas that we want to use the other ones with. There are some areas that really they stop, but there really isn't a lot of people waiting for it. Not that it's not important, it can be used, but I believe they picked those 5 locations based off of the top 5.
Okay.
And basically the amount of work that we figure Public Works is able to handle.
Let's see how it goes and then plays out.
No, it's item 10. You had it. You had it there, Emily. Item 10 on that one you had.
Item 9 on
No, she's going back to the last meeting.
that. Oh,
Let's get the map up.
okay. There you go. That's the one I asked for. Yep.
Oh, that's all right. I
Thank you,
can't
Emily.
zoom in or not, so if you can see them, it's where these stars are located. There we are. So you can see there's one up on 4th, another on 7th, another over here on 9th.
7th's at the high rise.
Yep. 32nd Avenue down by the lights, and then also just off of 32nd Avenue.
That's
right?
cash-wise.
The Cashwise, yep, on the south side of Cashwise.
Anything else, Commissioner Jorgensen?
No.
Okay, anyone else? Questions on this project?
My motion to approve.
Commissioner Jorgensen moves to approve project number 6064 for transit shelters, 5 to be placed within the city of West Fargo. The discussion is to approve the engineer's report and the directing engineer to prepare plans and specifications. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are now on item number 10. Item number 10 is project number 9021, wastewater serviceability and risk reduction study. Again, we call on Dan Hansen, our Senior Director of Community and Development. Purpose of this discussion is to approve purchasing of flow metering equipment. Mr. Hansen.
Thank you, Commissioner Darson, Commissioners. We are in the process of completing the the wastewater serviceability and risk reduction study. This was a study that we were able to receive a grant from the state for us to basically take a look at our entire sanitary system. And right now, everything that we have in the city pumps through SA40, which is the main lift station that pumps all of our sewage over to Fargo. Right now, if there was issues with that station, or if that station were to go down, what is the answer? That was the answer that we were looking for in this study. If you've been a part of any of the growth area master plan discussions that we've had, and there's some more stakeholder meetings coming up with that, a portion of that is also talking about what are we going to do with the lagoon areas as we're decommissioning those lagoons. That also is something where we're keeping the north and south, there's 3 lagoons on the east side. right now that run north and south of 12th Avenue. And the ultimate goal would be that we were actually going to reduce those to basically two smaller cells, a primary and a secondary, so we have a little bit of capacity to treat the peaks of some storms, so we don't have to pump a whole bunch of stormwater over to Fargo and pay them to treat it where we can treat it ourselves. Eventually, we could, as the whole north area, growth area builds out, we could just go straight to pumping, but we wouldn't be doing that until that whole area builds out and there's revenues coming in for us to be able to afford to do that. So in the meantime, that's an example of one of the solutions that's coming out of this wastewater serviceability and risk reduction study. So part of what Moore Engineering as our consultant has done is they've also have HDR Engineering as a sub-consultant that basically modeled the entire sanitary sewer system for the city. That has been completed, and that model that they have put together is based off of pump curves and surveyed elevations of pipes and things of that nature. We know the diameters of pipes. So in theory, the model is very good and it works. We've been able to test it based off of some known information from previous rain events. But what would really make this model calibrated so that way we know exactly that what the model shows is accurate, is to purchase these flow meters where we can install them in certain manholes prior to upcoming spring rain events that we generally have. So then we say we have a one inch rainfall that's over 2 hours. We can actually take a look with these meters dropped in there and see is the sewage in the system flowing to what the model is saying it should. And then we can compare the model to real world examples, and then we can we'll have the ability to calibrate that model. Having that model in place is going to have a lot of benefit to future projects. For example, if you recall, we just rehabilitated all of the sanitary sewer lift stations north of I-94. Now we're moving forth with rehabilitating sanitary sewer lift stations south of the interstate, starting with this year's rehabilitation of SA 27, which is the main sewage lift station just off of Cheyenne that pumps everything south of the interstate up to SA 40, for example. So that's a project that's happening right now. And so in the future, we're going to be taking a look at all of the lift stations on the south side. And as we've talked in the past, we've got some I&I. A lot of that may be caused by people putting their sump pumps into the sanitary sewer. So we've been pumping a lot of that storm sewer. And so not only that, but we also are aware of there is some development that has been discussed at pre-construction meetings to occur, west of the existing Cheyenne diversion and Horace Cheyenne diversion. And then between that area and the new FM diversion, there's basically going to be a strip of land that a developer is looking at developing, potentially upwards of 200, 250 homes over the course of a number of years. They obviously wouldn't be able to do that project until after the FM diversion is done and FEMA has put out new flood insurance rate maps that takes that area out of the floodplain. But in preparation for that, I would say in probably 2028 or so, that would be about the time that developer is going to want to start doing some improvements in there. Well, right now, our sanitary sewer system is at capacity. We do have a plan that was done. We did do a study of all of the south side lift stations that basically triaged all of those lift stations to set up an order of which ones that we need to take a look at and increase capacity and rehabilitate, because some of those lift stations are now approaching 20 years old themselves. So having that model calibrated is critical, that we have that accurate information, so that way when we're taking a look at a storm event of a certain amount that we can predict, what is that going to do to our system? What does that do to our lift stations? So that way when we do rehab those lift stations, we're actually designing them to real world data, so that way we're in a good position in the future to have capacity in our south side lift station. So that is the purpose for us having these flow meters on the agenda tonight, and recommending that we purchase those flow meters so that we can use those to calibrate the model. help us with design. But ancillary benefits to it is even after we're done with this exercise, these are mobile. So say Public Works wants to grab them and put one of them up in the core area to find out if we're expecting this much sewage up in the core area to be coming through this pipe, we can throw one of these meters in there and find out how much is actually coming through there. This will also allow Public Works to maybe identify problem areas of where we might have some inflow and infiltration. So there's a lot of good that can happen out of these meters in the future as well. So with that being said, there's really two vendors that we work with to get estimates from for flow metering, and that's ISCO and HACH are the two vendors. They came back with HACH. They had a lower cost of $141,773.60 compared to ISCO's proposal of $150,885. That being said, Public Works, which I included in the packet, is they did an analysis of both. They've talked to Sioux Falls, who uses the different systems, and they're more comfortable with the ongoing costs being lower to go with the more expensive ISCO purchase. So it's about $9,000 more to purchase the ISCO flow meters, but they believe that there's going to be better representation when needed from the vendor, and also ongoing costs would be cheaper with these. So overall, the best interest of the city, and as recommended, we would proceed with the purchase of the ISCO flow meters in the amount of $150,885. And that's what's being proposed with this evening's agenda packet. So with that, I would entertain any questions.
Questions for Mr. Hanson?
No, I'd just like to say, I'd like to
Commissioner?
give the Public Works Department kudos for they're fully researching this deal, even though it's a little more money up front, it's less money in the long run. So I'm glad they reached out to other entities and got their opinion from somebody that has used it.
Absolutely, and it was Moore Engineering Consultant, HDR, that suggested and that to put these flow meters in, and they were also the ones that also suggested us reach out to them. So it was through their suggestions, Public Works, I believe, reached out to these people, but we're in appreciation to getting honest feedback from the cities that they did reach out to, and again, Public Works, they did their homework with this, obviously with the report that they put into the packet, so very good work.
Mr. Olson?
Yes. What kind of ongoing costs will be associated with this?
Well, for the most part, it's just more or less just maintaining them if they need to be fixed. Say that we get out there and we don't believe that they're performing properly, being able to get a hold of the vendor, having them come in, do work on them. There's moving parts in it, so obviously things wear out. We just have a better feeling based off of the research Public Works did, that these are durable, less chances that those things happen, but they're also very confident in the service that they're going to get provided when they do make a phone call to those vendors.
I didn't know if there's an ongoing subscription to their software
No,
and all.
nope.
that. It's all part of that?
It's listed down on page
Okay.
7 of the packet there.
I'm just hoping that it's worth the extra 9,000.
Any additional questions for Mr. Hanson? Item number 10.
Move we approve.
Mr. Olson moves to approve project number 9021, purchasing flow metering equipment from ISCO for $150,885. Is there a second?
I second.
Commissioner Jorgensen seconds. We have a motion and a second for approval. Is there any discussion? Any additional discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Hanson. You've had a busy evening.
Yep, that's all I have for you tonight, so
Oh, that's all.
That's it, huh?
thank you.
We move on. We are now on item number 11. This is a resolution authorizing the participation in the national opiate state settlements. We're going to call on Katie Schmidt, our city attorney. Ms. Schmidt?
Thank you, Commission President and Commissioners. This proposed settlement is with the 6 remaining defendants who are part of the national opioid lawsuit. and they're asking political subdivisions to opt into this settlement like we've seen with other settlements. The settlement proposes a potential maximum payout by the defendants of $97,625,000, which will then be split between the participating political subdivisions. The initial proposed allocation to the city is 0.003% of the overall payout amount. This may change depending upon the number of political subdivisions that participate and whether or not any of the defendants ultimately decide to not participate in the settlement. In exchange for the payment, the city would release any claims that we have against the defendants. The draft resolution authorizes the city's participation in the settlement, and I'm available for any questions that anybody has.
Questions for Ms. Schmidt? Anyone?
Move we approve.
Commissioner Zundell moves to approve the resolution authorizing participation in the national opioid settlement. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. We have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Ms. Schmidt. Item number 12, West Fargo representative on the Greater Fargo-Moorhead Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors, Dustin Scott, City Administrator.
Good evening. Thank you, Commission President Dardis and Commissioners. As you see in your packet, the Greater Fargo-Moorhead Economic Development Corporation has reached out to us. According to their bylaws, they're looking to direct or fill their board of directors to serve a term from April 1st to March 27th. I'm sorry, the term begins on April 1st, 2026, and extends through December of 2027. So it's an 18-month term, or a little longer than that. And so they've requested that we make a recommendation for their consideration to have a West Fargo representative on their board. Mayor Dardis has been serving on that board, and so as you see in my correspondence with Joe Rosso, I recommended that we nominate Bernie to continue serving through his term. And then, of course, as we know, the board and committee assignments are done after the election. So at that time, we would revisit this committee as well as others with that process. So again, stand for any questions, but my recommendation is to nominate Mayor Dardis to continue serving through his term.
You up for it? I'm interested in it, guys.
I'm recusing myself. I'm making no comments on this one.
I move we approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioners, motion by Commissioner Olson, second by Commissioner Zundell. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Secretary, let the record show that there were 4 for, 1 recusing, myself. Thank you, Mr. Scott. We move on to the City Administrator's report. Please continue.
All right, thank you again, Commissioner President Dardis and Commissioners. A few updates, and then I'll get to the exciting part of the evening and introducing our new HR Director. First, we did receive correspondence last week regarding the spring flood outlook. The outlook for the Cheyenne River is very low, but Public Works, in all of their diligence, is preparing to operate the diversion should the case or should the need arise, and not just operating the diversion, but obviously there's other flooding preparation that they do each spring. So fingers crossed, the water stays low. Second, the Public Works, Police, Fire Departments, as well as the library are all wrapping up their annual reports, and we hope that they will be in front of the commission in the meetings of April. So they've been diligently working, putting all that information together. I think you'll be very impressed with the work that they'll be presenting, and again, be looking for that in the meetings that take place in April. The Growth Area Master Plan, during one of Dan's items, he mentioned that. The work is starting to wrap up. It's culminating into the first draft that they have been preparing. There is a technical committee meeting scheduled for April 8th, And we are anticipating that this will be back in front of the commission at some point in April, if not early May. So work has been progressing nicely there, and excited to see that take shape, so. And then my last update before I introduce Beth is the capital improvement plan. As you can tell, there's been a lot of engineering projects in front of the commission these past couple meetings. Dan Hansen's been working hard on the next 5-year capital improvement plan and hopes to bring that forward here this spring prior to getting the preliminary budget in front of the commission. So I think he's anticipating sometime late April to early May. So, any questions before I make an introduction?
Questions for Mr. Scott? No?
All right. I won't do a drum roll, but I am excited to introduce to you Ms. Beth Wiegman, our new Director of Human Resources.
Thank you, Dustin.
Good evening, Beth, and welcome.
Good evening, Commission President and Commissioners. I am excited and honored to be able to serve the city of West Fargo as the HR Director. And over the next several months, my focus will really be on building relationships and listening, learning, and understanding how HR can best support the employees of the city of West Fargo.
Any questions for Beth? Okay.
Not yet, right?
Again, welcome.
Thank you.
That's okay. Nick asked her about 30 questions this morning, so. Yeah, with that, I'll stand for any last questions. Otherwise,
Any questions for Mr. Scott?
move on. Very good. Thank you.
All correspondence has been distributed. Your mailboxes are full, so you might want to check
Whose
them.
mailboxes?
You might want to check. Yours is right below mine, so I noticed that.
Likely story.
Been there.
Mine's empty.
Does any member of the commission have any non-agenda item you'd like? Commissioner Olson?
Just one thing to let you know, I will be not available to attend the first meeting in April.
Okay.
Not by Zoom or Teams or anything, so
All right, appreciate that. Thank
going
you.
underground.
We'll see if we can
Just so you all
make
know,
it without you.
Yeah.
you're not wondering why I haven't showed up.
Rachel, would you remind me, the Board of Equalization, Paul sent out a notice, is April 15th? 14th. Excuse me. Board of Equalization will be meeting April 14th at 5:30.
Yes, and that is a Tuesday.
Okay. Anyone else, commissioners? Any department head have anything you'd like to bring forward at this time?
Sit down, Dan.
Yeah, sit down, Dan. I don't know. Deputy Chief Anderson had a real smirk on his face over there, too. I was really concerned to what he might bring up.
He was just thinking of tasing me.
I see. He's going to handcuff you to the table and keep you down. Huh? All right, with all of that frivolity, Commissioner Jorgensen,
Motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Zundell,
Second.
we stand adjourned. Thank you. Have a good evening.